We promise to give you all insights if you promise to take action after this is over. Cool? Cool? I know y'all didn't come here for nothing. Cool?
There you go.
All right, awesome.
Listen to Troy.
Listen to Troy.
I need that. I need that.
Listen. That's a new TikTok sound for you. Listen to Troy.
Ooh, smooth jazz. Let's go. All right, we're going to talk about trust currency. So, show of hands, how many people showed up here? This should be an easy one.
I am existing here, so yes. If you exist, raise your hand.
That tells me that you trusted the process. You trusted that this was going to be an amazing presentation, amazing summit, amazing conference, amazing group. You're going to meet your friends and your loved ones and everything, right? That's powerful, isn't it? So I have an arrangement of amazing superpower people who are going to show you how to do it. Are we here? We're okay. We're okay. So first I want to talk about what is trust to you? Jen, what's trust to you?
Well, trust to me is knowing that no matter what, somebody's got my back. It means to me that you're going to be reliable, you're going to show up, and you're going to do what you say you're going to do.
Trust to me is belief. It means that you believe what somebody's saying. It means that you believe you know what to expect. It's belief, essentially.
Trust is following up on what you say and instilling a belief in your people or your clients or anybody that needs to interact with you. They need to be able to understand that whatever you're going to deliver on, they can believe in that.
I'm going to give you all a secret. The arrangement of this whole thing has been planned to lead to this moment. And we're wondering why. When we're talking about relationships, right? We're talking about the future of our business, humanizing our business. How do we get relationships? How do we get value? That cornerstone is trust. If I trust you, I'm going to go off the bat for someone. But I don't know how to quantify trust. So, Christine, question. We're dealing with branding. How does one create trust through their branding? You're an expert in that. I mean, I see the consistency throughout so many ways. How do we do that?
You stole my word right there, man. Consistency. That is how we create trust in our brands. We create a consistent expectation of a consistent experience that we consistently show up and deliver on. And part of how we do that is by communicating what people can expect. And the only way to communicate that in a way that actually leads to the experience of expectation is to do it repeatedly. We have to keep showing up, we have to keep giving those brand messages, we have to keep providing opportunities for those brand touches so that that gives us an opportunity to continue proving what we're saying right. The more opportunities we have to show you that we mean what we say as a brand or as a person or as a company, the more trust that we are going to build.
My next question's for Jen.
Okay, let's go.
So let's go back to 2020. I know we don't want to go there, but let's just go back there for a minute, for just a brief moment. Ride with me here. And we have lost so much of the in-person interaction.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, I need to build a community. Well, you should already had one, but now I need to build a community and make it active. Like, what's your thoughts on using community to earn trust?
I think a lot of what Christine said about consistency is a big thing, but also, when you're going to commit to being on a social platform, let's just use social media for instance, because social media week Lima. If you're going to commit to being on a social media platform like Twitter or like Facebook, showing up consistently and having the back and forth with the people that subscribe to your brand, that show up for you every day, when you come back and you have fun conversations with them and get to know them better, not only are you, you're deepening relationship, you are building trust, and you're also most likely going to come away from it with a lifetime customer. And when you think about the value of your lifetime customer, that's it's pretty freaking amazing most of the time. So I think when you have a community that you all understand each other, you get the jokes, you speak the same language, you dance the same dance. You danced in your mind. I think I think when you have a community surrounding your brand like that, that says everything, and people kind of want to be a part of it because it's powerful, and the whole FOMO thing starts to come into play. And we're already seeing a lot of, I'm getting DMs from friends saying, oh my gosh, I wish I could have made it to Social Media Week Lima. I'm following the hashtag, but to be there would be something else. So I think, we've built a great community around this event. And look at you guys. You guys are awesome. Love you guys.
We're gonna stay in 2020. So a lot of people had to deal with learning how to sell online. And that could be hard for a lot of people. Figuring out I can't do all the touch points that I normally would do, speed, product description, visual elements, is there features, discounts? How do we navigate that but yet still earn someone's trust? Because we only get a few seconds.
Right. So I think what you're asking me is about e-commerce and maintaining a relationship with the customer through the transaction process, right? Is that okay? So not being able to go into a store and have that interaction with the retail person, or being able to have that transaction happen in person through cash or credit card or whatever. Yeah, obviously, the crap show that was 2020 forced so many people onto digital platform to make their purchases, right? So who here found that they were purchasing more online over the last 18 months than they ever have before, right? And was the experience, and put your hands up if you found that the experience was lacking significantly, right? Okay, so a few of you. Well, part of the way that you get around that, and the best brands did this, was to quickly pivot into seamlessly having the user experience go from product to transaction as quickly as possible without a lot of barriers. Some of the poor experiences I've had is, go and order a product, then you have to click cart, then you have to click another step to review your cart, and then they take you to either another second, like a third payment gateway that is on another window that opens up in a new window. Then you got to put in your information. Then you verify it, and then it may or may not take you back to the cart that you were in. And then when you click submit, it gives you just a generic, like, thank you for your order. So then, do you know if you're getting the order or not? And then you have to wait 5 minutes for the email saying, hey, thank you for your order. The process was broken, right? So one of the ways, and I think there are some brands or some sites that have done well with this, but many still have not. One of the ways for you to make sure that you're keeping your community alive and keeping the brand trust that you've built is making the purchasing transaction very simple. And there are many ways to do that, but not everybody knows how. And that's where research and all that comes in, and talking to an expert. But maintaining that relationship is vital, and making sure that that transaction process is easy for them. It goes a long way in that. So that's a long answer to a simple question.
Okay, I have a question for everyone in the audience. Ooh, are y'all ready? Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Yes. Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts?
What are you doing, man? You separating the group out. I thought we were supposed to bring people together.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Can't take him anywhere.
Okay, I'm going to ask this question again, but this time just raise your hand. Okay, I'll go local.
You're good, man.
Okay, how many of you have had Starbucks during the pandemic? Just raise your hand. Your expectation was it didn't matter. I was going to get whatever you get. You're regular, right? They expected it. They understood it. They knew it. And that's really all trust is, the expectation of I'm going to get this. We came here, we had the expectation I'm going to get something that's going to give me away, that's going to help me out, empower my business. And now when we're talking about trust, you need all three of these superpowers. You need e-commerce, you need branding, and you need community to establish that trust in a multi-layer facet way. So my next question to my panel, how have you been modifying in your specific industry? We'll start with you first, Jen.
Okay.
How have you been modifying what you do to push out more trust?
Well, so I wear a few hats, and at now Marketing Group, one of the things that we make sure that we do for our clients is we are constantly checking in with them. We are letting them know if you need changes to anything, if you think of something, send your stuff to us because we want to make your content as amazing as it possibly can be. Send us your boomerangs, send us your videos. We want to see your faces, and we want to post your story to the best of our ability. And so it's so much fun to when I collect this stuff from my clients, and I love it because one of my clients is here today. And I love it because when they're giving me videos to post on their stories or turn into reels or anything like that, it's so cool because then I also get I get a peek behind what they do, like a peek behind their brand, and I get excited for them. I get so insanely excited for them. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at this in progress. This is so cool, and look how much the people love you. So the client that I'm talking about is a brewery, and I love seeing the same names in the comments section on their posts, and these people getting excited for a Name the Beer contest. It's just so cool, and I'm like, man, I'm jealous. I want to get to submit a name. This would be really cool too. I want to do it. I find myself living out their excitement, even though I don't even live here. I live in Wichita, and they're like, the brewery's in Kalida. They're about half an hour from here. But it's cool to see that and to live that and to share that with them as well, especially from so far away. Feels like I'm right here.
All right.
So again, the question is, how have you modified, and branding is so many things, messaging and resonance, logos, all that stuff. How have you modified how you advise your clients, even yourself, to tap into more trust in the situation we're in right now?
Well, I'll answer it first for myself. 2020, I had a massive kind of moment of reckoning with myself, my business, my community, my content, how I approached all of it. Previously, for a while, I had it in my brain that Facebook was my main platform. And I would go to the mat for Facebook, and I was like, Facebook. And it annoyed me. Twitter was my least favorite, and it annoyed me because I was like, how come I have the most followers and the most engagement on my least favorite platform, and I have the least going on the platform that I think of as mine? And I don't know why it took till 2020 to sink in, but I had this moment of follow what's working and lean into it hard. And that's really what personal branding is all about as well, by the way. But I looked at that, and I said, I'm going about this all wrong. And once I stopped trying so hard to do what I thought I wanted to do, and instead followed what was actually working and where I was getting actual traction and where I was actually helping people the most and building the most community, once I leaned into that, it's just been an incredible, unbelievable change in that experience. And that also led to me, since I had a community on Twitter that was actually engaging, Once I leaned into that and sort of started thinking Twitter first, not only did my audience grow, I mean, that's fine. What I cared about was the same names coming up over and over. That is community. That is going deeper rather than broader. But it also got broader. It got both. It was incredible. And I also started listening. Once you have a community, you have people you can listen to. So I started listening to what my community was noticing the most and what they were thinking of me the most for. And it's funny because I tell people I did not focus on personal branding until literally last September. And people are like, no, I've been following your career for 5 years. You've always done personal branding. No, I have not. It just feels that way. Because I finally listened to my community last year and realized that's what they thought of me for. That's what they noticed. That's what they wanted to learn about from me. So I changed my content strategy up. I used to host a live stream show called Social that was basically just interviewing smart people about various topics in social media. A lot of people in this room, a lot of people from this stage. And I always take August off. When I came back last September, it was with a different show based all around branding, especially personal branding. And I brainstormed a whole list of topics and experts before I decided to launch that show to make sure it had legs, and it really has. But in addition to that, part of my Twitter first strategy was I realized how much participating in Twitter chats was doing for me. So I said, you know what, I'm also launching a Twitter chat, which will kind of pair with the show. So the chat on Tuesdays doesn't have a guest, chat about brand. The show on Fridays, let's talk about brand. That's the week's topic. And several people in this room have been on that as well. And so once I stopped trying to do a million things and trying to get known for things that I just wasn't getting any traction on, and instead I built a community, I built an audience of people who wanted to engage back, and I listened to what they were finding value in and built my new strategy around that and towards that. It's been absolutely incredible. The opportunities I've gotten since I made that decision have been unbelievable. The amount of, thought leadership. I mean, it really just, it all came from looking at what was working, building a community, listening to that community, and letting that guide my strategy. And that was because I learned what they trusted me on and where they trusted me. And so following that trust to build more trust is always going to do more than kind of scattering around, throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks, throwing more spaghetti at the wall. No, if you throw spaghetti at the wall and something sticks, that's where you throw the rest of your spaghetti. I'm losing track here, but
You're doing good. Keep going.
you hear what I'm saying, though. I mean, it's just listening and watching, and I don't know why it took till 2020 for that to sink in, but I guess because there were fewer distractions from digital, because it was all digital. And so that is the best place for me to listen and look and observe that data without so many distractions. And I tell my clients too. I, of course, I tell them to go on that same journey. I'm like, what do people notice about you? I don't care what you want to be known for. What are you known for? And yes, if you do want to pivot it towards something else, fine. But you need to understand what you have before we can leverage that to get you where you need. You need to look at the trust you have already built, whether you intended to or not, and realize that that is going to be your fuel to rocket forward in whatever direction you desire.
Can't really drop them.
All right, I'm done. So what we have been doing to help build trust, it hasn't, I work in a little bit different atmosphere in e-commerce. And so my focus lately has been on helping our clients create that user experience for their buyers. So from my perspective, I'm not necessarily so concerned about my clients' buyers. I want to make sure that I set my clients up for success. And so when I'm talking to a client about a new project they might have on a site, whether it's a variable template or a new group of products to add to their site, I'm wanting to audit what they're currently doing with them almost every time, because I want to make sure that they have what they need to be successful and to have their buyers spend money, obviously. And so, we have those conversations whether or not, hey, okay, are you ready for that order management system integration that we've been talking about? Are you ready for the updated look and feel that we've been talking about? Are you ready for adding XYZ type of product that we've been talking about? Have you gone back to your client and tried to capture their printing business from them? Rather than, so instead of going to their buyer, going to them for their apparel and then going somewhere else for their print product, have you had that conversation about incorporating print onto the same site? And if you haven't, let's set up a time to have a conversation with them over Zoom or whatever, and try and migrate all that, because I'm sure it's frustrating for them to have to go to 2 different places for everything that they need. So it's having those open and honest conversations with clients to say, what do you need? Here are the tools that we have available to you to be successful, and also make your clients, your buyers, feel as though you've spent currency on them to make the experience seamless for them. And then in that situation, everybody wins. The buyers have a great place that they can go, a great portal that they can go to that has everything they need. The client is able to capture more business and offer more options to their buyers. And then we, as the company I work for, maintain and increase the amount of trust that they've built in us, knowing that we can be their technical partner. They don't have to be so concerned about how the thing operates. They can just say, hey, can it do this? Can we add this? Can we build this? And we always say yes, because that's the trust that they've put in us to make sure that they're successful.
So I know what all 3 just gave y'all might have been a lot. I'm going to help y'all navigate through this. Let's take it like one thing at a time. I'm a person that's kind of like, ooh, I don't want to do a lot right away. That seems like a lot. But I want to get to that goal. And so each thing, think of it as an item. The more items you do, the more trust points you get. Now you exchange the trust points for something that you want. Maybe that's a new follower. Maybe that's a new subscriber. Maybe that's a new client. Maybe that's 500 new customers by the end of the month. Whatever that might be, it all comes down to how many trust points, and y'all can brand that if you want. I don't know if that's going to be a new cryptocurrency, but let's see, let's hope. How many trust points does it take to get to where you want to go? That's understanding your touch points. That's understanding your community, how we interact and how we're having conversations. That's trusting your brand, not only in what you're exerting, but the emotion that they feel coming back. How do I feel when I engage with this person? I will make time to spend more time with this person at this event because how they made me feel. And if we're dealing with, okay, I'm ready to go on their website, how's about the speed? How's the experience? All this plays a part to you getting what you want most. And so it may seem like a lot of segmented extra steps, but it's all one ecosystem. And this whole event is this ecosystem showing you how, from the meat that was really heavy at the beginning to these little technical details we're trying to share with you right now, to exchange those trust points for what you want. I don't know what you want, but I hope you get it. So the next thing that I want to ask is this: do you trust your audience? We're always trying to seek, earning it, but do you trust the audience that you currently have? And I'm going to go with Jen first. Okay. How do you feel?
Oh, I love this question. Yes, I do trust my audience. I love my audience. So another thing that I do, I love you guys. Another thing that I have is I have a standing desk company, and oh my gosh, I just love them so much because a fun thing that we do is, so it's a portable standing desk. It's actually, they're right back there at a table. And a fun thing that we like to do is say, how are you using this outside of what it's meant to be used for? Show us, because we want to see all of the things that you guys do with the X stand. And we have everything from wrapping paper. Was that you? Who was that? I think that was Chrissy Buck. She's here somewhere. We have a wrapping paper dispenser. We have somebody, like my boyfriend, he puts it on his leg, and this is a standing desk. He puts it on his leg and he uses it as a laptop stand. Home decor, we have people using it as a pot holder. Like, it's the craziest thing to see this thing in action outside of what it's meant to do. But it's so much fun because we as a community, we have that joke. We have that thing together, and we share it on social media, and it's so fun. It's so much fun to get to know these people, like, as X-Stand, but then also as Jen Cole. I just love it. You guys know that, though. I love everybody. So yes, I love my audience, and I definitely trust them. And they tell me wonderful feedback, too. Like, we've asked people, we had a get-together in Wichita, and one of the things that we did was we said, if you could make X-Stand better, what would you like to see? And so we wrote everything down on my phone, on my notes, in my notes thing. And we have all of these things that we're going to be working on here pretty shortly to try to even make X-Stand better for everybody, and it's already pretty cool. So I definitely trust them, and I trust their feedback.
Christine?
I have an interesting situation with my audience right now, which is that, so for years, I've discovered that I've done best with an audience of my peers. And of course, in theory, especially in a business where you're trying to make money, you want your audience to be mostly made up of your target client. And so I had that disconnect for a while. One thing that I did this past year that helped is I realized, well, if this is the audience I'm doing well with, and this is the audience that I have trust with, first of all, I realized, oh, well, I can make an offering that some of them can use too, so I'm shifting that too. But I'm also realizing there is a new audience that I'm going to be building going forward a little bit that is a new target audience. And I'm realizing that I need to rely on the audience that I have, including an audience of my peers who may never buy from me, but who have insights on my company, on how I do business, on how I present myself, on how I present my ideas. And I'm starting to lean into my audience for trust in that direction too, almost as business advisors in a way, in an unofficial sense, just because the more I solicit and listen to feedback, and it doesn't have to be official, just having a conversation consists of eliciting and soliciting and listening to feedback. The more I listen to them and that audience that I already have trust with, the more I realize what those things are that I should really put forward going forward. Because for me, the main thing that I trust about my audience, besides their expertise, I, at this point, have an audience that I trust wants me to succeed. That's always what you want. You want an audience that wants you to succeed. In fact, Brian Fanzo once, he mentioned that, people when you're on a stage, the audience doesn't feel like they're watching a NASCAR race. They're not rooting for you to fail. They're rooting for you to succeed, because otherwise their time is wasted too. And I quote that all the time, Brian. And I truly do have a community at this point that wants me to succeed. And so I think that in that regard, I absolutely trust my audience. I just need to I need to fall into that more. I need to lean into that trust more, because the more I lean into the people who have my back, the more I feel like they're not going to lead me astray.
Do I trust my audience?
Yes.
As long as they pay their bill. No, I'm just kidding. So I have like two audiences I think I talk to. One is just through business, and our clients that I trust them that they're going to see us as a partner for them. I trust that whatever questions that they have are legit, and they know that we're going to be able to help them, right? And that trust is important, because that maintains the working relationship. If they see us as a trusted partner, then I'm going to trust that they're not just looking out for their self-interests, that they are also looking out for us as well. Because the more questions that they ask, the more conversations that we're able to have about how we can help them, the longer the business relationship maintains. Personally, I do a lot of things dealing with storytelling and branding and being authentic in your message and story. And I trust that when I'm being vulnerable and I'm saying something or putting something out there that is revealing something about myself and my character or my family or my friends, that the people that are receiving that content have the best intentions, right? You're always going to have the haters and the trolls and the idiots, but whatever. But I trust the people, not you guys, no, not you, no. I don't know. So I think that, so the people that I know that are taking the content, I'm okay with how far that content goes. I'm okay with wherever it goes, because I know that the core people that I interact with on a daily, weekly basis also have my best interest in mind, and that they understand the vulnerability that I'm showing sometimes in my content, and and they're not going to take advantage of that.
So we got trust yourself, trust the process. So for you, if you're in Philadelphia, well, I don't know. Trust the system, trust your audience. That's a lot of different trust points. And I don't know how many times we've said trust on this panel right now, but if someone's keeping count, please let me know.
Trust.
Let's add another one. Oh, we do. Another thing I want to ask the audience, and you can just raise your hands. Do you trust the result in what you provide or give to your audience? Can I see a raise of hands
Raise
just to
those
make sure
hands.
they're all here? Or I trust you're on your phone tweeting about how amazing this panel is, either one. Okay, cool. I think sometimes whether you're in business, an entrepreneur, or you're a part of a team, that we focus on the numbers so much that we don't trust the result. And that shows and reflects in everything else that you do. And so when you look at your business or part of your team, how do you build that camaraderie to understand this is the result that we're going to do, and we're going to trust in it? And I'm going to pass it to Jeff first. Switch it up a bit.
How we trust the process and trust the team.
Yes.
I think because the industry I'm in is very technical, I have to trust that the developer that I'm sending a project to fully understands the code language and understands, how we're going to implement and deploy such a thing. I have to trust that they've taken good notes on our intake calls, but I also have to do a trust and verify. So when that particular piece is ready to test, we put it in test environment, and then I test the heck out of it. I beat the crap out of whatever solution that we come up with, because it needs to maintain its integrity and not break on the customer as they're using it. So when I'm talking with my team and I'm handing them projects and receiving them back, it's a trust and verify thing for me anyway. Professionally, it has to be, because our business's integrity demands that what we are providing them and what we develop for them as a custom solution is not going to break. So that's how we maintain our trust of that internally.
One thing I want to add before I pass it to Christine, Jeff and Christine, well, all three of you said something before we walked up here, and they said, I trust you. I trust you'll make me look good. I trust that we'll all be good, and I trust that everyone in here will get value from it. Pretty much you want your customer, your client, your team to just say, I trust you. Here, there's the action. Money, support, you're hired, promotion, whatever. It just comes down to, I trust you. So the branding expert, how do you get people to trust you more with branding?
Well, it's funny because it's a different answer than I had in my head. Because the trusting the results, the client results thing, is complicated for me because I work with clients to teach them how to do their own social media better and how to maintain their own branding better. So I help them, so there's a lot on them to actually enact. And so it has been tricky in the past, and I haven't been fully confident in the past about those results. Because the fact is, the results were dependent on somebody else. You know, I could teach in my head, I was like, well, I can teach them everything to do. And, you know, if they don't have results, that's on them. And then again, part of the transition of actually really communicating and listening, especially listening, meant that basically every single time I'm working with a client now, I'm almost like machine learning. Like every single time I'm refining my ability to ask the right questions to get the most informative possible answers about their true needs and especially their true blockages. I've learned through listening that the main way that I can help clients get results is by first listening and truly understanding why they're not doing it already, what their hesitations have been, what they flat out don't want to do. And by listening to that and by learning how to get at that as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, and as fully as possible, the faster I can get to breaking down to that level, figuring out their vulnerabilities that are going to get in the way of our work together, and getting into that trust space as quickly as possible with them. Once they trust me, which should hopefully happen as quickly as possible if I play it right, then we can do the work, and then I feel like the work, I trust that it will happen in a way that I'm going to be proud of, that they're going to be proud of, and that they're going to tell their friends about because they trust me enough to refer me to somebody who trusts them. But it really does start with learning to ask the questions that will get at their needs in a way that's really effective, and then using that as quickly as possible to show them that you understand their needs, because that's when trust can happen. Is that the question? Did I answer that all right?
That's the answer. Yes,
All right,
that's the
cool.
answer.
Did I get it right? Awesome.
You get a gold star.
Gold star.
And a gift for that.
She does.
So community is very important. We all know this already. It's used as a validator tool, it's used as a listening tool, and is meant to always be growing. In your experience, when it comes to, again, we're talking about that result, like how do you gauge the flow of the community? Like what factors do you partake in managing? Is it going well? Do they make some improvements? I'm curious.
Well, I think we measure success by, well, for one, referrals. Like when people talk about us to a point where they're so excited they trust what we do so much that they're going to tell other people who need us about us. That's a big thing. A referral. That's like a share. It's amazing. But when they keep coming back to you for things too, like when they have questions and they really want to understand what you do, when they're asking you questions because they trust your expertise, that's another one for sure. And when they keep in touch with you and they communicate with you because they know that you'll have the answer, you're going to have the right thing for them. I think that's another key point for sure. So it's definitely a lot of communication. It's referrals, it's it's repeats, and it's every day. Hey, can you do this for me? Or hey, I'm seeing this. Can we adjust this? Or hey, I really, 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 really liked that. Can we make sure that we're figuring out how to do more of that? Yeah. I think that those are all wonderful things to make sure that you're focusing your efforts to, so that you know that everyone in your community is satisfied. That all of your clients, or the people that come to your event, or the people that buy a standing desk, everyone is communicating their needs, communicating their feedback to you because they trust that you're going to take it seriously and you're going to dial it back into the product, the service, the event, all of those things.
Can someone tell me how much time I got? I can't tell from the back. Keep me on track. I'm trusting them to tell me when to get off the stage. My next question is, how do we earn trust back Like we lost it, maybe, they left it out in the cart, or they left the community, or that brand, something in the messaging or tone didn't resonate with them anymore, and now they're in limbo. How do we earn their trust back? Or does it depend? Take it however you will. Christine, did you? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jen.
Oh, I was just whatever I need to do. You earn it back by owning up to whatever it was. Like, if it was a miscommunication, okay, I'm seeing the lasso back there. Okay, basically, communicate, be honest, and always show up and say what you're gonna do. Do you want to add to that?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, and to your point, sometimes people just left the community, they left something in cart. So if you didn't do anything wrong necessarily, it's just not a fit, but you want to get that trust back because clearly you had it at some point because they showed up, I'd say just keep showing up. It's about showing up and being consistent, and hopefully if you show up enough, they'll come back when the time is right for them.
I would just say have a real authentic conversation with them. If you have the opportunity to reach out to them individually, then just ask them questions and ask them why and how you can make it better and resolve it.